I know that people are going to be outraged to hear this, but don't look at me.
It's not our fault.
This is not my fault. But we came in to watch Impact, and the DVR box said REC, which is record, and it claimed it was recording, but in fact, it was not recording.
No.
And so we watched the last half hour of the show, which, fear not, was horrible. So we'll talk about that.
We may be able to rant about this for an hour.
Holy Christ, that main event was horrible.
I would like to think that, once again, your cable box simply rejected Impact.
Now, all I gotta say is that people always try to start the website wars and that sort of thing. Not my thing. I don't really care one way or the other. But I was told that perhaps accusations were made about you and I and Dragon Gate USA. I don't even know what they were. I didn't even listen. I suspect that people blew the whole thing way out of proportion. And quite frankly, I don't really care. But I will start my own website war right here by saying, Wade Keller gave that main event 2.5 stars.
I will double check this.
That was the worst fucking match I've seen in months.
It was goddamned awful.
I think you put it best. That may have been the worst match of nearly every man in the ring's career.
All four men's career, yes.
I can't say that because I'm sure Rob Van Dam has had some horrible matches, and I'm sure that God forbid, Mr. Anderson has had a career of terrible matches. But sweet Jesus, this match was bad.
It was all four men involved. It was Mr. Anderson and Rob Van Dam against Matt and Jeff Hardy. All four of them looked as they're just dirt worst. Like, it's not like there was one guy having a bad performance, or even three guys having a bad performance and one guy who looked okay. All four men looked just miserable.
I don't even know what this match was supposed to be. We're going to start with this match before we even get Granny here on the line. I can't get over how horrible this match was. This match, first off, Matt Hardy. What happened? I mean, that's a rhetorical question. But if he goes on Twitter tomorrow and tries to tell me that I don't know anything about wrestling because I thought this match was horrible, then I got words for him. 2 words.
Fuck you.
I didn't say the 2 words. You can all decide what those 2 words might be. But I just got 2 words for the guy. That match was horrible.
This was a goddamn awful
He looked
pro wrestling
awful.
match. Yes.
He actually made Jeff Hardy look like the level-headed one in the family. I didn't even understand what the match was supposed to be. I was seriously trying to figure out who are the baby faces and heels, because I'm pretty sure that the Hardys are supposed to be heels, but I'm not entirely sure because Matt's doing an awful lot of selling here in the corner. I don't know what's going on in this match, and everything looked bad. People were out of position. There was running into folks. There were terrible bumps to the outside. It was just horrendous.
The absolute zenith of the match was Matt had the heat on Rob Van Dam, and we discussed this when Matt debuted in the pay-per-view. He's fat now. But just say it. He is just fat now. So
I thought he looked thicker at the pay-per-view, but upon watching Impact, he is just fat.
Sloppy fat.
He may be thicker, but he's fat.
Yeah. So he went to the top rope for a moonsault, and all I could think was, Brian, you've known me for a long time. You know I'm a very slow man. If I was down in the ring and Matt Hardy went to the top rope for a moonsault, I would break the sound barrier to get out of the way. So he went for a moonsault. He missed, of course, because Rob Van Dam is not that stupid. Then Rob tried a moonsault. I believe Jeff was supposed to pull Matt out of the way, but either he forgot or Matt is just too fat to move. But
I know, because Jeff was trying.
Okay.
But Matt was immobile. So I don't know if Matt did not assist his brother.
His coefficient of friction was too high. He embedded himself into the canvas when he landed. Regardless, he was still there, and Rob had to, in midair, try to sort of miss him. Then,
he landed right on his face.
Then Jeff managed to pull Matt outside. Then Jeff and Matt had a huddle and just stood there. Mm-hmm. And then Rob Van Dam, who, he's not the most, what's the word? He's not the excellence of execution, but he's a pretty goddamn great athlete. He did the ugliest, sloppiest, most out-of-control dive onto the 2 of them that I could fathom.
Yeah.
And here's where I thought to myself, at that moment I thought to myself, Mr. Anderson may be the best guy in this match. So they go to commercial. They come back from commercial and...
You were wrong.
Yes. I believe Matt went for a near fall. He hit a move on Rob and went for a pinfall. And Anderson came in to break the pin and tripped on the ropes.
Mm-hmm.
No one could do anything here. Then, and this... listen closely to what I say and think carefully about what it means. Matt attempted to hit Rob Van Dam with a side effect, and the move was edited.
Yes.
Think of all the shit we have seen week in and week out on this television show.
This is what they decided needed to be fixed.
5 years. This was so bad, not even Impact, not even TNA could dare to put it on television.
Yeah.
Holy ass.
This was a terrible match.
This was everything that is wrong with pro wrestling today.
Anderson still has a smidgen of caring within his soul because he's the champion, I think. RVD has given up. Jeff Hardy has given up. Jeff Hardy gives up every time he comes to TNA. You watch Jeff Hardy in TNA, and then he goes to WWE, he's awesome. Then he goes back to TNA, and he's
sucks again.
An indie guy. And Matt was just the worst I've ever seen. Like, I've never seen Matt Hardy look worse than this. And if he comes on here again and tries to claim that this was a good match and that he looked good, he needs to go back and watch some tapes. I just don't get it. Like, how can you not take some pride in yourself? Like, I wrestled in Tulalip. I wrestled in Tulalip Championship Wrestling, which had no TV, and 100 folks showed up. And granted, I put the matches on YouTube, but still, the point is, I didn't even film those matches to end up on YouTube half the time. In fact, if I recall correctly, I filmed about 3 of my matches before I gave up. They were all filmed by others and put on YouTube. And I took pride in my appearance. I took pride. I went to the gym. I worked out. I did cardio. I did circuit training. I tried to be in shape in that fucking ring. And here's Matt on live television in 2011. Well, not live television, but national television on Spike TV. And there were spots in this match where he was glacially slow. And his gut gets bigger every time I see him. I just don't understand why people just can't get it together. I don't know. I was very, very saddened watching this match. I mean, this was like when you see that Legends Battle Royal and you realize that everybody is old. And then, you think back to their heyday and their prime and you get really sad. That's how I felt watching this match. I just felt really sad. And it's not like Matt's 50. It's not like Jeff's 50. All these guys. All I got to do is think, the show sucks. It's a horrible show. The booking is hideous. But by God, I'm going to be the best I can here. I'm going to lose some weight. I'm going to get in shape. And I'm going to fucking try. I'm going to try and set an example right here. That's what I'd be thinking. But, I don't know. I guess that's just me.
That's why you're in that chair.
Find a match of mine on YouTube where I'm even in close to the shape of Matt Hardy. The match doesn't exist. You'll find one clip of me yelling at Jack Evans and telling him not to kill himself. And you know what? When I saw that clip, I went, Christ, you're fat, you fat ass. And I went on a diet and I lost all the weight.
We have talked about this before. There was a point where you were bulking up and you overshot your target.
Yeah.
And you were still working. You know what you did? You put a shirt on.
That's true.
It's not hard.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
I put a singlet on and I pulled it all the way up and I covered my gut. And then I got to work losing the weight, which I then did.
Yeah. There was a point here. Anderson...
it's supposed to be the wrestlers that are yelling at the dirt sheet writers about how you don't know what you're doing. I'm here yelling at Matt Hardy to get your fucking ass in shape. I got in shape. I'm sitting here behind a computer yelling into a microphone. You know what? I got in great shape, and you'll never find a video of me on YouTube wrestling where I'm in the shape you're in right now, Matt. So get your ass in the gym and straighten up, young fella.
Yeah.
That's my speech for today.
There's more about how awful this match was. Anderson eventually got a hot tag. You know how usually you get the hot tag and you hit like a series of big moves and lead up to your finisher? Anderson tagged in and hit like a clothesline and the mic check.
Yeah.
Boom. So there was some silliness, a ref bump. He mic checked the other Hardy, so now both Hardys are down. And the ref's out of the ring. So Jeff was laying on his back under the ropes, and Anderson and Matt are in the middle of the ring, and Rob takes it upon himself to basically do a giant big splash to dive over onto Jeff and punch him some more. Beer Money came in and interfered. The Hardys eventually won. Just shit. The Taz was talking about... First, I didn't even mention this. They pointed out it was the Hardys' first match as a team in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we see this every time, put it on TV for free with no build.
Of course.
So the baby faces, I think, come out first. RVD and Anderson came out first. Then the Hardys were introduced. I don't know if this is a new video or if I just never noticed it in Jeff's video. But as they're coming down, you can see the video playing on the big screen behind them. And you see a computer link that says add as friend. And you see this hand glide over the screen to click it. And then a giant red stamp goes, denied. The only positive about this entire segment. So the Hardys, the fucking Hardy Boys, are together again. They come out on stage together as a pair for the first time in years. And then Anderson goes to attack them. And they started brawling, and there was no heat for this. I know it's hard to believe. But yes, they managed to kill the heat for the Hardy Boys. So then Taz starts talking, and you can't just say Matt and Jeff were a great tag team in pro wrestling for the past decade. No, Taz has to start talking in detail about what happened in that other company. You know, the major leagues.
Yeah.
Talking about Matt being punished when Jeff came to TNA, and then Jeff went back, and now they're both here, and sucks. It just sucks.
I just want to say one more thing. I know that I yelled a lot, and there was a lot of vitriol in what I said, but deep down, I'm just trying to be friendly here. Just trying to be a friend of Matt.
In what way?
He's too heavy. He's not very healthy at that weight.
Are you concerned he will die?
Well, I'm not concerned. I'm not on this death watch bullshit or anything like that. I'm just saying that for the...
He would feel better if he dropped a few pounds.
He'd feel better. He'd work better. He'd look better. He'd have a chance maybe of someday going back to WWE and making money again. He wouldn't be stuck in this promotion, booking him into oblivion. I mean, it's not like there ain't hope for Matt. I mean, I realize he wasn't happy with where he was in WWE, but he wasn't in a terrible spot. He was beloved by the fans. They all knew him. He had a bunch of wacky, weird followers on Facebook and Twitter, I'm sure. And he was somewhere in the wrestling business. And he's now in the 9th circle of hell. And it's time to start clawing his way out of that. Just trying to motivate the man. Because obviously all other forms of motivation don't work, so now he just needs to be yelled at. I know it's going to make no difference. But
the only other thing
at least I can say that I tried.
The only other thing I want to mention of what we saw on Impact, right before this, there was a segment with Immortal was in their locker room. It was a room looked to be about 8 feet wide and 10 feet long, and there's 47 men walking around in there. And the Hardys were getting ready for this here tag match, and Eric Bischoff was talking about it, and Ric Flair got excited, and he clapped his hands and said, and this is a quote, "Hardys looking as only they can look."
Well,
true.
It is true.
True.